back for more Blitz. We have either... Oh, it's looking like it's going to be a King's Indian defense now. It could also have been a Grunfeld. Okay, I'm going to play the Averbakh variation because I enjoy it, and that involves bishop g5 here. When e5 has been stopped temporarily, I'm going to retreat my bishop to e3. And now after e5, d5, he can go after... Okay, he plays c6 to target my central pawn structure. Kind of a fan of trying out this h4, h5 idea in all sorts of... against all sorts of moves from black, just to see how it works out. So, let's do that. h4. And here, I think we want to take with the c-pawn. Okay, queen a5 pins my knight, so I will have to defend my e-pawn if he does that. Don't want to do it with queen d3, or there'll be b6 and bishop a6. So, I'll do it instead. Okay, he played a6. I'm going to go ahead and play h5 and try to find something to do with this kingside knight. Maybe stick it on h3 just to get it out of the way and then castle. And later play f3 and knight f2. You can try that. Plays g4. Okay. I mean, that's ballsy because it opens up his kingside, but it does kick my knight back to g1. Now he goes b5. I suppose we'll just go f3 because it both attacks that pawn on g4 and it defends our pawn on e4. He goes g3. Okay, so now if I bring my knight back to h3, he can probably take on h5. So I am going to... What am I going to do instead? Maybe play queen d2 to make him defend this h6 pawn, and then do something with the light squared bishop and bring my knight over to the e2 square to attack the pawn on g3. Alrighty. Now we're going to try to hop into b6 with the knight. So he'll go knight bd7 to stop that. If I have to play b3 later, I can do that. But first I want to grab this pawn. And if this knight lands on f5, we should be in really good shape. Yeah, like I said, I can play b3 if I have to, so we're going to do that. Goes knight c5. I think we'll just take it. So now we've got a protected passed pawn. I would love to have this knight on c4, but that's going to take a lot of moves. So instead, what are we going to do here? He's going to have a hard time actually defending his c-pawn if I play rook c1, so I'm going to do that. Kind of has to go knight d7, which is pretty ugly. My computer's yelling at me about one thing or another. Alright, so now we can stick the knight on f5 without that knight immediately being captured by the bishop on c8. This looks extremely good for white. Once that knight lands on f5, we'll be threatening to capture the pawn on h6. Okay, what about g4, g5 here? That looks pretty strong. You can also just take the pawn on c5, but I think g4 looks better to me. It's neat how my king is pretty safe actually on e1. He could move the knight out of the way in order to attack my knight with his bishop, but then if nothing else, I can just take the pawn on c5. Okay, so now g5. It's going to break through somehow. Let's take this bishop on g7. And then capture on the h6 square. And then go rook g1. Did I screw this up a little bit? Maybe. I have a lot of pawns though, so. Alright, so king e2 or king f2. He still has a light squared bishop. I'm going to go king f2, even though his queen... No, his queen might show up on h4. So let's go king to e2. And we will capture here. And play rook to g1. The queen will take back, and then... Oh shoot, could I have played rook g7 check and done anything with that? I don't think so. Once he takes on g1, I'll take back with the bishop, and hopefully retain an advantage. Interesting. Okay. He wants a protected passed pawn. But he's doing that, I think, at the expense of grabbing this h6 pawn. Okay, king d3. I'm just going to march up the board and grab these pawns on the queen side. Is he threatening anything over there? I don't think so. And if he goes to grab my h-pawn, he's going to potentially have big problems stopping the d-pawn. So this should be a win for white. Okay, let's just march these pawns up the board, I guess. Now we can box his king out a little bit. And eventually play b6 check. I think I will now just march my king up the board and try to deliver checkmate with a7. All right. Thank you for watching.